Awesome. So tonight we are talking all about networking. And the reason why I wanted to do a training on networking as a whole is because we're in network marketing, right? And so I think the biggest thing that a lot of people struggle with, if you're not naturally in a opportunity where you've done network marketing in the past, or if you're not an entrepreneur yourself and you have never done anything like this, network marketing as a whole can be really difficult and can feel unsure because you just don't know the right steps and processes to be able to take in order to expand your network. And so when we talk about network marketing as a whole, first I wanted to go over what it actually is. So networking is actually defined as the action or process of interacting with others to exchange information and develop professional or social contacts. So simplify that, right? Connecting with people, looking to find ways to interact with new people every single day. So, I specifically will be talking about networking opportunities via social media because obviously with COVID, not very many people are getting out and about. People may be a little bit more leery of talking to you in person. However, if in-person stuff is your jam, like go rock that, right? Like I still sometimes give like little samples to my Starbucks barista or the person who serves me at Dunkin' Donuts or whatever, and I'll let them know like, hey, I love your attitude. Here's my card. I'd love to connect with you and see if something like this would be a great fit for you. So feel free if that's your jam to go ahead and do that. But again, specifically tonight, we'll be talking about social media aspects. So I wanted to give you guys a few action steps in order to be able to expand and grow your network. So, what you want to do ultimately, again, networking is that process of interacting with others. So, you want to find and connect with like minded people, people you admire, people you want to be like, or people you want to serve. So that in mind, you can write lots of different keywords and lists to have an idea of the type of person that you actually want to connect with. And from those lists, you can actually expand further into tangible, actionable steps of how you can go through the actions of being able to connect with those people and where to actually find them. So if you need extra help around that, feel free, let me know. I'd be happy to help. But again, think about people who are like-minded like you. So, for example, I'm big into spirituality. I love my crystals. I love my essential oils. I am a single mama. I have 2 kids. I have one kiddo with special needs. So right there, there's like 10 different things that I can find that I can actually connect with somebody else around. So you can use those kind of keywords to break down who it is that you're actually looking for in your network. Where do you find them, right? So social media is such a huge, expansive space that sometimes it can be daunting or confusing on where you actually find these people. So one of my favorite spaces to find people is within Facebook groups. And if you're not within very many groups, that's okay. You can stick with a couple of groups just to test your waters and kind of get the feel for being able to connect with new people. But the key that I want to teach you guys in the steps and process of networking is that you need to make sure that you're consistent in your actions. You need to make sure that you are genuinely engaging with these people and don't make it as weird as like only commenting on their posts or, only going and commenting on their pictures. Like give that heartfelt genuine connection and, feel free to send them a message. Like if you hear somebody posting about how they are struggling right now and maybe are having issues with depression because of COVID, like feel free to send them a message and say, hey, I know this can be really random and off the wall, but I really heartfelt wanted to connect with you because I've been through this kind of thing, or I know someone who's been through this kind of thing, and these are the things that have really, really helped them. Would you be interested in learning more about this to see if it would be a good fit for you? Right? That's how simple it can be. And it's coming from that space of serving others. The next thing that I want to say is key as we learn how we can actually find these people is get curious. The biggest thing in building relationships is asking questions. So get curious about them, ask deeper questions, right? If they're sharing about their kiddos, like ask them, how many kids do you have? Are all your kids going to school? How have your kids adjusted to everything that's been going on with COVID? Do they play any sports? Like, are you doing okay with everything that's been going on with COVID? Like, you can use COVID as a huge thing to be able to connect with people, because people are looking for that deeper connection, and they're looking for it now more than ever on social media, because we don't have that big face-to-face connection as much anymore. People are very fearful. So when we're talking about Facebook groups, when you're finding new groups, you basically want to go through and kind of pick your favorite topics to find the groups that you like. And it's going to be a trial and error thing, right? So, hop in a group and engage in it, scroll through some of the posts, see some of the people in there, look at the rules and see if the rules align with your values. Do those kind of things before you really spend a lot of time within that space. Because if it's something that it doesn't really serve you or align with your values, leave the group and go find another one. There's literally hundreds of thousands of groups that you can find on Facebook. When you hop in a new group, don't be afraid to make a post and ask for new friendships. I think that that's one of the big things that we're very fearful of as humans in general, is just asking. And practicing that art of asking is going to be really beautiful and kind of help you step out of your comfort zone and just say, hey, look, I'm looking for new connections to bring into my life. I have had a crazy year this year. Whatever you want to say, make sure that it's genuine and heartfelt. You can put that post out there and see how many people engage back, and then connect with them, add them as a friend, comment back to their comments, right? That is what engagement is all about. The next is you can comment and engage on other people's posts, right? So people will always be sharing within the groups of their own things. So comment on those posts, and also don't be afraid to actually comment on the comments, right? So if you're like reading through the comments and you're like, wow, yeah, I totally agree with you, girl. Like, yeah, woohoo, I'm the same way. Don't be afraid to comment that and be like, oh my gosh, we have the same values. Like, can we connect? There's nothing wrong with that by any means, and most people will be like, "Heck yes, like, I want a new friend. I totally wanna connect with you," right? Another thing that you can do is look for commonalities, right? So I was sharing about, like, I love spirituality and crystals. So if you see somebody else who's, like, big into crystals too, look for that commonality and see how you guys can connect and interact with those specific people. And then don't be afraid to share your personal story, share what's on your heart, share some of your favorite quotes, etc. People who engage with those type of posts are your people. Being vulnerable is one of the biggest things that is very hard for us to do. One, it comes down to our conditioning, right? Society kind of teaches us, as well as most of our parents and how we're raised, that we really shouldn't put stuff out on social media, or we don't need to share some of the deeper, heavier things on our hearts, or even the lighter things, right? Like, we don't need to shout out our big wins all the time, right? I want you to try to think differently in that perspective, and that people want to hear your story. They want to hear whatever it is that's on your heart, because they're looking to connect with somebody else who has that same feeling, or maybe where they've been in those shoes, or maybe they can see themselves being in your shoes, right? That is the essence of being able to be vulnerable and showing up within your true authentic self. That's where genuine nature comes into play, and that's where you find your people. That's where your network is. And then from building that network and connecting within that new expansion of friends, go ahead, like I said, feel free to add them on your personal profile. If for some reason somebody says, like, hey, do I know you? Why did you add me? You can just send them a message and say, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to come across weird. I just really loved, and then tell them what that you loved about them. Like, tell them, hey, I was seeing on your feed, or seeing you share in your group that, you have two kiddos and you work a lot too. And I'm looking to connect with people who are, in the same space, right? Just be genuine and authentic and show up as your true self. There's nothing wrong in that at all. And if somebody's not comfortable with it, they'll tell you, and that's okay. 99% of the time, like I said, they'll be like, woohoo, you go girl, like totally, let's chat, let's be friends, right? Um, The next space that you can find new people in is in the comments, right? So I had mentioned that you can find them in the comments, like within Facebook groups, but like, don't be afraid to interact in the comments of your friends, right? So not just commenting on your friends' posts, but like commenting back to their Aunt Susie who commented on it and said something about the dress. Oh my God, yeah, I love that dress too. Like, it's so cute. Like, can we know where you got it? Right? Like, connecting with your network's network grows your network even bigger and even faster, and it makes things a lot more fun because then you get people who all know each other and are all interacting with each other, and it ends up being a really cool experience. And then also keep in mind that you can interact with people on their stories as well as on people's reels. So if you ever like go in and watch a reel, and if you leave a comment, like, don't be afraid to go and comment on the comments, right? That's how you can get even more new connections, and keep everything from a genuine, true, authentic space. And it just makes it second nature that you're just connecting with people instead of being something that is like icky or salesy, right? There's nothing salesy about actually genuinely connecting with someone. And if you follow that key of, getting curious about somebody and asking these deeper questions, or, maybe somebody shares in the comments like a quote that inspires them or something, like ask them, like, wow, that inspired me too. Where did you find that? Or maybe what did you go through in your life that that quote really helped you out of, right? Asking those deeper questions is where you build that deeper relationship. And again, having that consistency. So you actually have to be consistent in this action. And once you have a new friend in your space, don't leave them, right? Like, continue to try to show up within their space. And if for some reason you haven't interacted with them in a long time, like, circle back up with them and, hey, say like, maybe they had a new baby and it ended up being 10 months ago, right? Oops. Like, you can still message them and say like, hey, I'm so sorry that I haven't really been present in your life. Like, the world's been crazy lately. I saw that you had a new baby. Like, that's so exciting. Tell me more, right? Like, give people the opportunity to talk about themselves as well, because the more that they talk about themselves, the more that you can actually learn about them and establish that connection. And then you have the opportunity to show up in a space that you can serve them. And if for some reason you can't serve them with anything within a short period of time or immediately, still keep them around, still keep networking and engaging with them, because you never know. You may not be able to serve them directly, but they may know somebody that really needs what we have, and they may send them your way. Or maybe it's not the right time or the right season for them, and maybe they just want to watch you for a little while, and then all of a sudden they're going to decide, kind of like Brittany Hitch did, that now is her time, and look how big and huge she is. And imagine how that could grow and impact your network, right? And then for Instagram, right? Instagram is a little bit different than Facebook. Go through and follow new accounts. On Instagram, it is less of a big deal, if you will. Trust me, it's not a big deal on Facebook, I promise you, but like, people kind of treat it like it is. It's not. But it's less of a big deal to follow or add new people on Instagram. That's what everybody does, right? So same thing with TikTok, like, follow new people on new accounts, and then go and genuinely engage with those people. Look at the hashtags that they're using, click on the hashtags that they're using, and find the same like-minded people. Use those hashtags, write those hashtags down in a notebook so that you can put those in your own posts, right? That's how you can grow and expand and interact with somebody genuinely, and keeping it within the same kind of topic or the same theme that gives you that like-minded people aspect. Um, and again, like I said, that big key is consistency. You absolutely have to be consistent in it. And network marketing as a whole is all about numbers. So, keep in mind, for example, if it takes, maybe you haven't signed up a new person yet, but maybe you've only gotten 5 people on a call. Maybe it actually takes you 10 people to get on a call before that first person signs up. And maybe that's your numbers. Maybe it takes you 20 people to get on a call before you actually sign that first person up. Whatever your numbers is, that will help you to figure out exactly the amount of people that you want to try to engage with and connect with on a regular basis. So for me, for example, it takes me on average 5 to 8 people before someone signs up. between either, engaging with them and getting them the recording or getting them on a call. And so I know that if my goal at the end of the month is to help 4 new people start on my team, I know that I have to engage with at least 20 to 32 people to be able to hit my numbers. And if I am at my 32nd person, that doesn't mean that I'm just going to stop engaging with new people. No, I'm going to keep getting in new people because your numbers will change a little bit. It's based on the law of averages. And so the average may be, between 5 and 8 people, but maybe it's the 9th person that signs up sometimes instead of the 5th person, right? Maybe it's the 4th person that signs up sometimes instead of the 8th person. And so that can change your law of averages a little bit. So keep going through the process, because I promise the more consistency that you put into it, the more you're actually able to gain traction and momentum in actually networking with people. And the bigger and faster you grow your network, the faster the momentum will be grown and built overall, and the more results that you'll actually see over time. And you'll see, okay, if I'm growing really, really quickly, people will start to follow you more, right? And so I also wanted to say that, social media is your tool. Leverage it. So a lot of times people get stuck on social media and they just scroll. They just scroll through groups, or they scroll through their news feed, or they scroll through their friends feed. Stop scrolling and work with intention, and take the time out of your day to be able to say, I need to network with 20 new people today. 20 new people is my goal. And I promise you, 20 might sound like a huge number, but I promise you, if you go in one group and you share in one group from your heart that you want to connect with new friends, I guarantee you, you'll find 20 people really quickly, probably just from that one post that you're sharing. You just have to let go of that fear that is holding you back of showing up in the world and showing up in that space. And the more that you show up and you serve authentically and you share things from your heart, like share your favorite quotes and stuff like that. Like I said, those are your people. The people who engage back and they're like, woohoo, I love this, or wow, that's really powerful. That made me think a lot. Or maybe you shared something about your day or your story or something that inspires you, right? People love that. That's true. It's genuine. It's authentic. And that's what the world is craving right now. And you can serve as a huge inspiration just by facing your fear and showing up and sharing that. And then focus what you share for who you serve and who you help. And know that not everyone is going to be your ideal client or your ideal audience, right? And so keep in mind that if you're only getting 10 people who like your post, that's still incredible. You don't want or need every single person on your friends list or every single person in that group to like it. You just want the right people who align with you and align with your values. And then if you're feeling triggered on social media, like a lot of times people, that's a lot of energy to take in. Maybe connecting with new people is like, okay, I got to take a breather. Just go ahead and put people on mute for a little bit. Don't go and actually unfollow or unfriend people. Just take a breather from their profile. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you're finding that there's a lot of negativity coming up in your profile or coming up in the groups that you're in, leave those groups. Unfollow or unfriend those people. There's nothing wrong with clearing the space and clearing the energy on social media that will actually help you to want to show up more. Because I promise you, in the more you show up in a true, authentic, genuine way, you'll feel better. And the more that people receive you in your true, authentic fashion, you'll feel even better. And it's a beautiful cycle that will just keep going on and on and on, that the more you share and the more you grow and the more you expand, you'll continue to want to do more and step further out of your comfort zone and connect with more people, because you'll find out, whether people tell you on a regular basis or not, you are inspiring people. You are inspiring someone to get out of their bed because they're depressed at the end of the day. Or you just made that single mom's entire day because you sent a heartfelt message that meant so much to her. And that is the beauty in networking, is that this is soulful connections. This is not just adding random people. This is not cold message. This is getting in the nitty gritty of the connection with the human soul and the human spirit. And that serves on such a deep level that it's not even funny. You also want to keep in mind to diversify, right? So I had shared about, looking and following your interests, right? Like spirituality or crystals or herbs or essential oils, right? Look into the complements of whatever those interests are, right? So if you're interested in spirituality, maybe look down the path of mindfulness, or look down the path of meditation, or look down the path of yogis, whatever it is that could connect to the dot, right? It's creating a new bullet point, essentially. It's creating a new pathway to find new people and still connects back into your original interests. And by doing this, you never know, you may find something that you're really insanely passionate about. It's actually how I ended up finding human design way, way, way back in the day. I was like branching out, and human design is one of my absolute favorite things in all of life. So don't be afraid to diversify out of your interests. And then you want to try to produce more than you actually consume so that your message is genuine. And so, what I mean by this is when you're sharing on your personal page or your personal story, or putting in a group that maybe you run or you mentor, or even how you show up in other groups, if you share more authentically about yourself and put that content, that's essentially content, right? If you put that out more than you actually consume other people's content, you'll find that your message is clearer and more authentic and true and genuine to your ideal audience or your ideal clients. And then the last piece is take time for your own personal wellness. So obviously sometimes we need that space away from social media. That's okay. That's not a big deal. But know that if Saturday is your day off from social media, come Sunday, you better get back on board and you better start connecting with your 20 or 30 or whatever your number is, whatever your goal is for that day, and break it down day by day. The reason why I say break it down day by day is because realistically, if you're creating a solid schedule for anything, not just network marketing, but for anything as a whole, you want to break it down between having daily goals, weekly goals, and monthly goals, because that's what actually helps you to hold yourself to an accountability. So if you say at the end of the month you want 100 new followers on your Instagram account, break that down daily. If you have 2 days off from social media, let's say that's 5 days. So you need to find 20 new followers those 5 days that you're working to attain your 100 follower goal, which will get you 400 new followers by the end of the month. And it's that simple to break it down by a step-by-step process, because then, let's say you're sick for one of those days and you can't show up for one or maybe two of those days. Then, okay, I missed 40 connections. When I have some free time, I'm going to spend some mindful energy and go and connect with those 40 people that I didn't connect with earlier in the week so that I can attain my goal. And I promise you, within this, it's not just about numbers. It's not just about, connecting for the sake of Q. It doesn't even come down to that. I promise you, you'll find some really, really beautiful, soul warming friendships that will be friendships of yours for the rest of your life. It is really beautiful how you can find some truly aligned people just by getting out of your comfort zone and sharing from that heartfelt space and showing up genuinely and authentically and wanting to serve. So I will answer, we've got 5 minutes left. I wanted to finish by 9. So if any of you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat real quick. Otherwise, I will respect your time and I'll stop the recording and let you guys go. Very helpful. Thank you, guys. Awesome. Well, if you guys don't have any questions, then I am going to go ahead and end this, and I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you for coming on.